Hey guys, welcome to Nomi Chronicles podcast show. I'm Meg Dre and I'm here with my good friends Rok-mo and Brandonian. Let's start off with Rok-mo. What's up?
What's good, Meg? Happy to be here again. I know we've been trying to get this going for a while. So again, you guys, it's a blessing to be here on Meg's show. It's nice to meet everybody. What's up?
And what about you, Brandonian? What's up?
What up, people? Yeah, my name is Brandon, aka Brandonian. Happy to be here. We've been trying to get this together for a minute, and now all the stars have aligned. We're all pretty.
Yes.
We're all relaxed. Let's get this going.
Yes. And I'm just super excited that you guys are actually able to join me. And like you mentioned, due to everything that's been going on with all of COVID, I'm glad that you guys are both safe. And just let me know, how have you guys been able to actually pivot your art movement and everything that you've been doing because of COVID? I know that a lot of artists are transitioning. I know a lot of conventions have been canceled, such as Anime Expo. Actually, I think all of the conventions have been canceled at this point. So what has been your guys' different ways to overcome that challenge? Rok-mo, if you want to start.
I guess I can start. I guess for me, it's pretty much been the same. I want to say I'm mostly not that I needed to go out to do something, go to a specific place to actually work, like an actual studio or something like that, or actually, have my art posted up at a convention or anything like that. Wasn't really, we were planning on doing some conventions this year, but the way things were turning out financially and the projects that I was working on, and even with the freelance, it just kind of ended up doing what I normally do, working with clients through online or whatever it is, through email, whatever, to do the job, working on my own personal projects, and, then just continue to work the day job that I work right now to supplement with the financials and everything like that. But for me, it hasn't been such of a total flip over, but I started to do new things like starting the podcast, and now I'm starting to teach, which is really good. So, and we've been doing that like digital Zoom and all kind of different things like that. So, it's just maybe I utilize it to open up different ways to continue on to do art. So, yeah.
Most definitely. I think that's awesome because of COVID and because of all the quarantining that's been going on. I definitely also feel as if it pushed a lot of artists creatively to work on projects that they wouldn't have done or have procrastinated on. Like myself with this podcast, to be completely transparent, I was totally putting it off pre-COVID, but now that we have all the time in the world and everything's successful, all of the work that I do is digital, so I don't necessarily have to be in person like yourself. I think that it definitely opened my eyes to see all of the different strategies and just working out and actually implementing them instead of procrastinating. So that's the positives of COVID so far for me as well. So I'm glad to hear that everything's going well with you, Rok-mo. What about you, Brandonian?
I was going to make some kind of joke where I haven't done a single damn thing since COVID started, and all I do is just wake up and, eat and go to sleep and talk mad crap to my cat. But I can't do that simply because I realize, especially for me, when COVID happened, like Rok-mo said, we had plans to start going to conventions and putting ourselves out there. And right around the time it hit, I was in the middle of a storyboard class, and I had already had goals for this year, the things that I wanted to do that I'd known I put off. And one of them, was my own podcast. So right around the time COVID hit, I had all these commissions that were starting to pile up that I actually honestly still need to get to work on. And I have to admit, it being quote unquote isolated like this, it kind of lit a fire under my ass to just start doing my own stuff and not being worried about the result or how it's going to be received, but, just to put myself out there. So I started the podcast, and unlike Rok-mo, I've been putting it off, much like you. So I just got started again with an interview with the one and only Rok-mo that we just wrapped up last week, and will be available soon. And
it will for sure be in the description as well to Rok-mo's podcast and Brandonian's as well.
Yes,
so you guys will all have access to those podcast episodes that we've all been procrastinating.
Pretty much. Y'all can go get enlightened by Rok-mo and Meg, and then just listen to me ramble about a whole bunch of nothing for like 30 minutes. It's wonderful. You'll walk away from it like, where did that half hour go? And what is Brandon doing with his life? And the answer is nothing. But no, I'm really thankful for these last couple of months, especially because I've gotten to work on my projects. And then, I've started doing just things that interested me. Like, for example, I enjoy grilling. I enjoy barbecuing. So for the 4th of July, I had Reggie and some other friends over and, I tried my hand cooking for the first time ever in life, like a 12-hour brisket, and which completely
Sounds fire. Why
slaughtered my
were we
energy.
not invited to this?
Well, COVID
barbecue,
and social
man.
distancing and all that other stuff.
I feel that.
And I could only allow so many people to break those rules and, not look like a total scumbag. So no,
it's all good.
The next time I actually have enough time and energy to make a brisket, I will definitely let my friends know. And for anyone out there who, doesn't eat meat, well, what? Life sucks for you.
I'm going to pull up on my porch. You could just say, hey, I got a plate outside for you, Meg. It's literally right next to the mailbox. It's right next to the gate. Pull up. I got you.
This up.
It's all good.
Brand
We don't
dash,
even have
homie.
to see each other. Exactly. What's that curbside pickup?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Oh, that'll be lit. But yeah, just to summarize, I've actually been able to keep myself hella busy and then doing things that, again, I've been afraid to do or I've put off doing for the past couple of years, simply because of whatever reason, like reaching out to people and, networking and even being more confident in myself as an artist and the whatever I do. So yeah, it's been a strange couple of months, but strangely fulfilling as well.
For sure. Well, that's a perfect segue. Speaking of confidence, how did you guys build confidence enough to, I know you guys, I believe I met you guys at an artist alley at Comic-Con LA. How did you guys build the confidence to, first of all, be an artist when you first stepped into the game and then when you first decided to go the convention route? What was your journey like? I don't know whoever wants to start with that.
You want to go first?
No, I'll let you go first. It's cool.
Okay, let's see. How do we do? Confidence to doing this whole thing. So man, it's all like, I feel like it's always a life journey. You know what I mean? Like from drawing as a kid, just like me and Brandon, like we grew up together. We would draw together in the 5th, 6th grade. Like we've known each other for probably like more than 20 years, So like it's always been a dream to want to have your works out there, even from a young age. And I guess as you begin to grow, you hit high school. High school, I'm still, trying to do my own projects and things like that. And then going into college, it's like, oh yeah, like, there's work out there, there's studios. And I mean, you even know this from high school or whatever.
Yeah.
But I want to say that I'm still growing in confidence with a whole bunch of things. I'm still getting over mindsets or different mentalities that tell me that you're not good enough, you're not worth it, you're not one of the special people. And I have to, it's like, it's so loud in my voice, in my head. It's always kind of been loud. And the whole thing is, at least for me, I don't want to say getting used to hearing it, but as it comes, getting better at going against it, saying, no, like I am a human being just like any other artist, any other professional, any other director. I'm a human being just like them. And I deserve as well to be able to go after my goals, to be able to accomplish them, to be able to meet other great artists and learn from them, to be able to, make film and own businesses and work and collab and teach and all this kind of stuff like that. Like I'm also able to do that. So I think as time has grown, I've been just getting better at saying that to myself and then walking out on faith to see what happens. Sometimes things go this way, sometimes they go that way, and learning how to not be hard on myself when it doesn't go the way that I want, but to try to take the things that I've learned, So when we like doing conventions or whatever, again, it was just a step of faith. Okay, like I don't know if anybody's going to like this work that I'm going to show, but we'll find out. We'll try it, we'll see what happens. And you end up, for the most part, anybody that I know and even myself, you find out, you end up being so surprised that like somebody looks at it and says, oh, this is cool. And you're like, what? Like, you think
that's
it's cool?
How
like,
we met.
What I mean?
That's,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, your work is dope. I think that's literally how I came up to you guys. And I was like, oh yeah, this is sick. But I totally agree. And I think as artists too, it's a totally different experience because you get to connect with your community at the conventions, which I don't know if I have the confidence to present my work at maybe a gallery. I've done that, but at a convention, I feel like that's a totally different breed. So I'm glad that you guys are able to share that with us. But yeah, I think that's an awesome experience to be able to have the chance to meet someone other than them in Instagram commenting, saying, oh, I like your work. You get to actually interact with the person and build up that rapport.
Yeah. I mean, just like what you were saying, I think it's just all like for me, just taking different steps of faith and just like, we'll see what happens. I'll do the best that I can. And it's usually like, at least with the conventions, it's been, and I know Brandon can attest to this, like when people come and they look and they compliment and everything, or even want to purchase. Matter of fact, Brandon's got a good story. He sold all of his stuff. I just leave that to him to say, but like, you'll be like, I just want to give to the people and to even you, Meg, like, try it, see what happens. Like, you know what I mean? If we get a chance to do conventions again or whatever, just like you're doing your podcast, just like you're doing this right now, like you're doing it. And this is something that I say too, like as artists, this may be kind of deep. I don't know if you ever get to this, but it just came to my mind. Like one thing I think is so dope about being an artist is that you have the ability to actually, this is for anybody, but you have the ability to go after a goal, even if it doesn't work. Like that's a blessing in itself. True. You have an imagination or you see something, you can choose to actually go after it. You can choose to actually draw that image. You can choose to actually start a podcast. Like nobody's going to handcuff you and say, no, you can't draw this. No, you can't go after your dreams. So even if it doesn't, the outcome is maybe not as what you wanted, you have the power to freaking shoot the gun. You have the power to go. Yeah. And so like, yeah, like we're so powerful. Like we're so powerful as artists and as humans. And it's like, yo, let's use it. Let's see what happens. And the whole thing is a learning process, but it's just cool that you can even do it, you know? So
yeah, being able to have the opportunity to just create and build your own universe, just creation, because it's coming from your mind and you're literally turning nothing into something. So who's to say that you weren't doing that intentional? So it's perfect. Let's move on to Brandonian so he can expand on some of the things that we spoke about.
Okay. Well, I don't know about you guys, but after hearing Rok-mo, I really just want to like, you know, go off and do my own thing. Like, cut the video. I got shit to draw. But
that's the friendliness of being competitively. It's in the competition. It's all love.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's really, I don't know if I can really add anything more. Like he pretty much put it succinctly. But, you know, for me, I had been hesitant until Rok-mo had gotten me up off my ass and, you know, basically told me we were going to, you know, do what we met you, LBCC.
But you were more like, hey, let's do it. Let's do it together. Let's do it. Like, let's go. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's try it. You know,
this is also true. I think that was the beginning of me trying to be a bit more gung-ho in my presentation and just putting myself out there as an artist. And it helped that, you know, having a friend like Rok-mo who, you know, is willing to support me and always being a positive influence was like, I got less and less fearful of how I'd be received as an artist and just said kind of what he said. Well, I'm gonna just go out here and do it. And if people like it, well, then, hey, confidence boost. I actually am an artist. I am an artist. And if they don't, well, then they ain't got no damn taste. Shoot. I'm an artist. I'm good, damn it.
Come on, yo. Come
But
on.
It was just that first step. And of course, growing up and having this friendly rivalry with him as kids, you know, incessantly like drawing comics day after day after day after day and hanging together, it built my confidence kind of in myself. But there's always, like you said, that voice in the back of your head, especially when, you know, you've got other people and pros in front of you, like quote unquote pros and the greats and these people who are just phenomenal artists, and you start comparing yourself and it's like, well, I thought I came this far, but damn, I'm not as good as this dude. You have to learn over time. It's like, exactly, you're not him.
I feel like that's how a matured artist develops. Obviously this podcast and the show is for artists of all seasons of life, but I feel like to the younger artists that are listening to this right now that want to know, how do I get into that, or how do I get to that level, we can't teach you that. Your professors can't teach you that. That's something you're going to have to live through, something you're going to have to overcome yourself. But all we can do is suggest, find a mentor that can give you the proper guidance and to help you overcome it by giving you lots of encouragement and fulfilling words. Because I feel like as artists, we're very tough on ourselves. First of all, we're sensitive, but second of all, we're very tough and critical of ourselves. and of our work. I know for myself, I always want to destroy everything that I did because I don't think it's good enough. I'm like, oh, I just completed this like 10-hour project and there's one little thing. It's like the alignment or the colors don't look right. And I'm like, I don't like it. I hate it.
Right.
But I think what you were saying, though, I think it's important to have those kinds of things.
Well, yeah. And, especially as an up and coming artist, you're going to stumble, you're going to slip up, or you're going to fall, and something's not going to be as good as you hoped it was. And somebody might give you a critique. That's okay. Don't be afraid to stumble and fall, because we all do it. It's just how you choose to improve yourself. Like Meg just said, going out and finding a mentor. Okay, figuring out what the hell I did wrong and how I can improve on that. Like health, for example, YouTube University. Let me watch these tutorials. Let me get something from this and let that make me better. And then, let me confer with my other artist friends. Like, well, how did you move here? Or how did you get there? Or like, what worked for you? Like, just take as much as you can from all different sources. And also, don't shame yourself about reference. Like, don't worry about it. If you use reference to bring your creation to life, don't trip. Don't say, oh, well, I don't have the same kind of creativity, imagination this person might when they create it from scratch. Look, real talk, and no one will admit it, but it's true. Everyone, quote unquote, cheats. Wink, wink.
Sure. Now, as teachers, though, I know that a lot of people sometimes take it very personal for critiques. What advice can you give to young artists or even matured artists as a teacher and just as a professional and also as an artist? Dealing with those critiques and trying to figure out how to not take them personal. Because it's personal, but it's helping you improve.
Right.
True. First, I would say learn to filter through it, because there are people out there who critique simply for the sake of, shooting you down. Like there's no getting around it. So just learn to filter it. There are people out there who might talk a strong game, don't know what they're talking about. And then there are people who, they might be harsh critics, but they're ultimately trying to help you improve. And in my opinion, you need to learn how to filter through the noise to get the actual, tidbit or nugget that you need in order to be able to grow. And try your best. Don't take it personally. Like, yes, you may have worked 16 hours in a row on this thing to bring it to this point and you're proud of it. And someone just tore down everything that you could have done to improve it in less than 5 minutes. That's okay. Let it go. Because this is not, the thing is, it's personal to you, but this is not your end work. This is not going to be the last bit of art that defines who you are as an artist.
Yeah.
This is only meant as a stepping stone. You're supposed to get better from this. So learn to take from this artist that, Brand, this is dope, or Brand, you could have done this, this, and this is why it comes short. Like me and Rok-mo send each other stuff all the time. And I remember, it's funny, a little story. About a couple months ago, I sent this piece to Rok-mo, and shout out to Mike Blackberry Wandy that I was super proud about. I've been working on this for years, trying to develop my own style. And I felt this is really dope. And it probably just needs a few more tweaks and here and there and this and that. But I'm going to shoot it by them because, they always have sound advice for me. And I remember it didn't take Rok-mo maybe more than 2 to 3 hours. And not only did he send me a critique, he took my image and then gave basically painted out his own suggestions of how I could make this pop and make it better. And I remember looking at this damn, that's phenomenal. And then looking inwardly and damn, I am garbage as an artist. What am I doing with my life?
There are so many moments as artists that we have those moments where it's okay, how do you bounce back from that though? Well, to the moments where you're I'm trash. I suck. But I don't know. What do you guys suggest?
After he showed me that, I'm not even gonna lie. I went to that was the end of the night for me. I'm just gonna go to bed. I'm done trying for tonight. I'm gonna just wake up the next day and I'm gonna figure this out. And as I'm kind of nodding off and going to sleep, I'm that was really good. Okay, he took it in a direction that's really dope. For me, it was start to think of, okay, this is a great suggestion. How can I make this my own? How can I complete this and still make it my own as me, as Brandonian, the artist? Because this is dope. It's you're not mad at him because he outdid you, and you're just you're mad at yourself almost for not thinking of it like that. Mm-hmm. And once you get over that, looking at it and then breaking it down becomes a hell of a lot easier. It's okay, cool. Suggestion help. Okay, this is dope. This is going to work. How can I do this in my own language? It became more of cool. How does this still say, oh, this is Brandon's piece? like, this is Brandon's art, and just taking bits and pieces from the people that helped me out. So that's my suggestion. Like,
you hit the key part right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people, and especially you can be a matured and seasoned artist, you can be an upcoming artist that understand the artist development aspect of being an artist. Because, you know, now in this day and age, a lot of these kids or a lot of these people think, oh, well, it's internet. We can reproduce whatever. I'm going to recreate anything. I'm going to make a Rugrats poster, but they don't make it their own style. How do you, a lot of people don't understand style that specifically is you as an artist. Me as Meg Dre, that's my style. You as Rok-mo, that's your style. You, Brandonian, Rok-mo giving you suggestions, but you making it your style. A lot of artists, they can have a span of 50 years in the game and not have developed their own style. How do you break it down like that? Because I feel like a lot of people, they wonder, oh, you know, what am I missing? What am I doing? It may be because your work looks like all of the other work and you haven't developed your style further.
Now, see, that's a harsh critique that some people might not be able to get over. And how the hell do you get over that? That's a good one. I don't know. For me, because I was obsessed, I've been obsessed over years. Like, I got to find my own style. Oh my God, I can't come out here looking like everybody else. How am I going to make this my own? And for me, the more I just went through it and the more I kept like just agonizing and still trying to like make pieces, I don't think your style ever truly fully forms as long as you're growing as an artist. But you do have, over time, there becomes a distinct method or way or this or that that's yours as an artist, where you can look at it and know, okay, that's Rok-mo's. Okay, that's Brandon's. And
it's just like with Hayao Miyazaki, everyone can see Studio Ghibli, literally recognize that. All the pastel colors and all the palette, you can definitely tell which things are which. Or Toriyama with Akira and all of those Dragon Ball, all those different styles, you can definitely see that. But I feel like, what was the point for you guys that you were like, I have to formulate my own style? Or it was like, okay, got it, this is my style.
Okay, I have a couple of things. Ooh. I want to go, I don't know, because we moved far away from the whole critiques and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, but I'm going to go back to it. Okay, so one thing, Brandon talked about what I did to his, but I actually had the same thing. He did the same thing to something I was working on. And where like I was drawing this Tifa, fan art, and I was struggling, gave it to this dude probably like in 10 minutes or whatever, brings it back with some ideas. And it was just like, made me feel like the lowest artist, like just the lowest of lowest, I'm like, why didn't I think of this? Or why this, So one of the things that I just kind of wanted to bring up was that critiques and actually, especially as young artists or any artist, I think just any artist in general, what I've heard from even the dopest people, if you have a friend or have family or whatever, show them and listen to what ideas they have or listen to what they say, because sometimes people can see something that you don't see, and you need that. It's a humbling thing. It's a humbling thing that we all need. We need to know that we're not the grandmasters and that it actually takes a team, or it takes, some kind of humbleness. It takes you to be open to grow. So when it does hurt, see how you can grow from it. See what's the truth behind it. Is there truth behind what they're saying in your image? Are your characters feeling flat? Like why? How? If they told you, oh, this feels flat, I guess the whole trouble is like, well, how do I fix it? Sometimes people don't tell you how to fix your weak areas, so you want to put yourself around people or maybe a mentor that can help you to find that out, and I try to do that with the people I'm mentoring right now. I think those are the kind of critiques you want, people that's going to want to help you, you know what I mean? And then the whole style thing, I'm so like, for me in style, I think it's you got different kind of artists. I think there's some artists that are the way that they want to present themselves because some people may just enjoy drawing something that's already existing. Of course, you may have people that work on teams for animation, like say, for instance, people that work for Simpsons, right? They may actually just enjoy drawing in that Simpsons style. That's like, and that pleases their heart. They have a pleasure of having it look a certain way that is already made or something like that. Or maybe that's just how they make money. And that's a good way to make money. You know what I mean? So there's that option for artists if they want to do a certain style, to be on the production, to work, you get hired like that, know? Me, I think a lot of times, like going out for certain jobs, it's so hard for me to work, like going out for Family Guy or going out for these things. It's so hard for me to sometimes like stay in that style.
Condense. Yeah.
So sometimes those jobs are not for me, you know what I mean? But I think that, like, again, what Brandonian was talking about, it's like a journey, you know? I think, like me, I don't really think of myself of having a style. Now, when you guys see my work, you may see a style. You may see, he always does this, or like, you know, people love the colors that I use or whatever. They see a style, but me, I'm always just trying to grow and experiment. But you'll see the things that I really like that I constantly keep doing. But I don't really think of it as a style, I guess, because it's like I'm in the water already. So I'm not thinking about the water I'm in, you know, but you guys are like, oh, I see the pool you're in. I see what you're doing. You know what I mean? So I feel that based on like what kind of artist that person wants to be or whatever, as they're on their journey, hopefully they continue to go towards the things that they like, and that'll either become into a style or become into some kind of work that pleases them, even if it may feel more like something we've already seen. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts.
I totally agree with you. I also, before design and media, I have a background in music and entertainment. So I guess the best comparison to say is there's a lot of musicians, but not a lot of artists. A lot of singers, but not everyone has a sound.
Right.
Let's say they have very distinct voices. I'm a huge fan of Wu-Tang Clan. You cannot recreate, there are very few that can recreate the voice of Method Man and Old Dirty Bastard, or let's say, for example, in pop, right? Who else can recreate Christina Aguilera's voice?
Right.
If you hear something, you're like, oh, that's Christina Aguilera. You know, they make jokes about it, but that's her style. Her voice is so distinct. And I think that's what it is about being an artist, is having those distinctions are what will set you apart. It's the cadence in your style. With Mariah Carey, right? Who else can sound like her other than maybe Ariana Grande? But, you know, that's a whole different comparison. But it's those different kinds of things. And I think that it's important to acknowledge that no one is final form developed. Like what you guys were saying, it's definitely a journey that everyone has to go through. But I also feel like your style can definitely evolve. And allowing yourself to evolve or rebrand in that sense. As far as that goes, what is your stance on how mental health has impacted your work and productivity? For myself, I've been struggling for getting motivation during quarantine, even though I have a lot of time, but also I play video games and I'm like lounging, but then also at the same time, I'm like, maybe I should be practicing drawing. But how do you guys work through it? How does it help with your psyche?
You go, Brand.
No, this is all, oh God. Okay. Now the whole world gets to know how nuts I am. Great.
This is very important, guys. Just to acknowledge that artists in general and just creatives, everybody struggles with mental health, but in particular, artists in the art community, it is not really acknowledged. It's not acknowledged the fact that a lot of times people grab inspiration from pain and put it into their art, or they use it as a therapeutic tool. You know what I'm saying? So I think that this is important to have these conversations. This is happening in the music world, where a lot of these artists are dying or committing suicide. But the whole thing that's important is to bring up this conversation of mental health in creatives and artists.
True. For me, I don't know how to begin, but really for me, and again, and going back to COVID kind of forced me to take a hard look at myself. And I had started, you know, kind of self-examining before then, in the sense that, much like you, I procrastinated a lot, admittedly, and I had been trying to defeat that. And part of the reason I procrastinated was because I was always self-doubting, like, well, what's the point in getting started if all I'm going to do is just end up producing trash? And just real talk, if I'm not going to be anywhere near as good as Rok-mo or anywhere near as good as Black Bear, like, why the hell am I even waking up? Now, of course, I would wake up and go about my day, but that eventually turned into beating myself up to the point where, okay, I have to make this work. I have to make this perfect. This has to be excellent, and I can't afford to really do anything else. Like, I can't afford to relax and play video games, because then I'm slacking off and I'm not doing life right and I'm not doing art right. And it just got so mentally draining. It's like, well, again, what reason do I really have to do this if I'm just just, beating myself up on being a perfectionist before I even put a stylus to the pad. Why? And it took me really taking a step back because, like Reggie, like Rok-mo, I have a regular job and I let that regular job consume a lot of my time. Like, your priorities start getting out of whack. And I realized for me as an artist, especially if I want to grow and especially if I want to continue to love being an artist, I really needed to take a step back and begin to balance and say no to certain things for my own mental health, because I was just driving myself into a hole. Like, I would just come home and I'm miserable or I'm depressed and I don't want to do anything. Like, it takes everything I have to just honestly just drink a glass of water and then try and decompress. Didn't want to read or do anything. And again, I had to start setting a balance for myself, especially now where it's like, okay, I'm not going to work 12 or to 16 hours a day and then come home and then try and fit in or cram in 2 to 3 hours of working on a project. Like, no, I need to create balance. I need to make things to the point where I can function and I can have a healthy balance of everything. So I'm going to commit some time to this and I'm going to commit some time to that. And most importantly, I'm not going to kick my own ass to the point where I don't want to do something that I originally was looking forward to working on. Like, I love working on a piece or learning how to illustrate better or trying to figure out how I'm going to make this board sequence work. And if I'm beating myself up where I'm like, oh, well, someone's just going to tear this apart, or I can't get this right the way I see it on there, or the way this director or the way this artist would do it. No. Don't worry about that. Like, take a step back and seriously figure out the things you need to do for you. And if it's hard to do on your own, because not everybody can do it on their own, seek out help, reach out. Like, even if it's not your friends, even if it's, even if you need to go to a therapist in any way, shape, or form, do it. Because like we keep talking about, mental health is extremely important, and you don't want to fall out of love with the thing or the medium, that made you part of who you are. Like,
100%.
love being an artist. Like, Rok-mo was an artist, and if he just got so harrowed to the point where he's like, yo, dude, I don't even know why I'm working on this project anymore. Like, I have to do this or I have to do that, and it all just seems so pointless. Like, seriously, at that point, reach out, man. Like, find some kind of like outward help, because it's way too serious. And like you said, we hear more about mainstream music artists who go through all these mental health problems and have all these mental health issues, and sometimes that results in them taking their life. But you hear more than enough stories if you're in our respective scenes. It's just that it's not brought to light, or you hear about colleagues or friends or acquaintances that that went through their own problems or are going through serious problems, and you never would have guessed it, especially if it's someone who's like popping or prominent or whatever you want to call them. It's like, wait, what? You got problems for real? Like, there's stuff you're going through? Like, but everything, like, things are working out for you. Things seem so dope. And it goes to, you never know. So reach out and find ways to check yourself. Yeah. And I know that's hard, because especially if you're in the middle of it, but find a way to take a step back and find a way to assess yourself. And even if it's just giving yourself positive affirmations to even go and seek help, do that. To be honest, I'm still fighting that. Like, I even got up today and I'm like, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to work on that. Or, oh God, I got that interview with, Meg and Reg. Like, how am I going to fit this in? Oh crap. If I don't get this done, I'm an artist. Oh my God, like, is Meg going to find out I'm like a trash person because, I wasn't prepared?
Brandon, no, you're all good.
But these things go through, like, they go through people's heads, and it's like, oh man, like, why am I stressing out about this? Like, we're a conversation. We all know each other, but it's like, and I think part of it is just the weight of the world, but look, we all just go through it.
No, I completely agree 100%. Man, it's hard. No one tells you how hard it is. I mean, also just being an adult is hard. We're also in the middle of a pandemic, so we haven't had social contact other than digitally. And I think it's important to find your reasons why you're still doing it and just keep reigniting your passion for it. Because I know that one of my professors, my illustration professor, said, well, if you want to be an illustrator, you have to want to like live and breathe it, because the love and passion for it when you're working with clients or you're doing it for work will be sucked out if it's the client that's not for you. But it will definitely simmer and disintegrate, because you have to want to love and do it and enjoy it. I think a lot of times, like, we get so inundated with work and we try to be in this competitive space because, you know, there's so many different kinds of artists and you don't think, and you also have the self-doubt of no one's going to listen to this. No one even looks at my work. No one's going to buy my stuff. They like me enough to buy my stuff. Am I even good enough for people to buy my stuff? It's like that whole psyche. And then you just go into a hole. Quite frankly, I've been doing a lot of therapy. I've been doing a lot of therapy during quarantine, and that's helped me tremendously because I was like you, I was inundated with work. I was burnt out, which creatives and artists, we often do. We often don't get to the point where we're saying no to projects until we're already burnt out and our bodies need to recover. And then at that point, our brains are just jumbled. We don't even know which projects to prioritize and all of these different things. I think that it's important to take mental health seriously. Also, checking in on your friends. Checking in on your friends is very important. Or just realizing, oh, hey, I haven't seen you post anything. Are you okay? Or I saw that, like, I'm going through it too. I haven't posted anything. I've been struggling myself with any motivation to create art. And then I end up trying to distract myself. But it's crazy because I know I'm trying to distract myself from creating. Like, I'm fully aware that I am procrastinating because I don't want to deal with the whole mental process of creation. And I don't think people talk about the creative process, but they don't talk about what goes into it psychologically.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I got to map it out. I got to create a whole branding campaign to promote my work. I have to make sure that everything's high quality. I have to lay out the concepts. I don't think people talk about the psychological parts of an artist and just how that just can unfold and send you into a spiral. I often end up going into those spirals where it's pushing me back so far that I just don't end up doing it because I'm like, why am I doing this again? That sounds like a lot of work. But then with COVID and everything and through therapy, I personally have been working on is self-talk and positive self-talk. Let's say, for example, there are many different stages of self-talk that you can give to yourself. And I guess I didn't realize how often I did it. And in particular with the creative process, I'm just working on the process of reprogramming myself so that I can improve my productivity because that's basically how I'm working through it. But it's all new to me. It's a whole process, and its mental health journey as a creative is exhausting because creating is exhausting, but going through the mental health and the creation process obliterates my psyche. I don't know if you have anything to expand upon that, Rok-mo.
Something that just kind of came up to me because you guys talked about most of everything, you know, reaching out, talking with people, making sure it's okay to breathe. It's okay to slow down. It's okay to defrag. It's okay to, you know, and I guess one thing that just kind of popped up to me is basically getting out of your normal daily loop, which feel like the social media loop, like this whole, because basically I think as artists, it's like, oh, this is how I'm going to make it. I have to make it through social media, or I have to make this. And like, people never
competitive. It's competitive as hell.
Yeah. And just the whole thing of like even 10 years ago, probably, or like, let's say not 10 years ago, but maybe like say 15, 20 years ago, like artists weren't seeing like over thousands of people's of artists every day. Like you weren't seeing, like, we're literally looking at stuff that's going on around the entire world in seconds. We're looking at people that have put in 20, 30 hours, and we're flipping by that in 1 second and then zooming up. You're seeing all this content. Your brain is taking in so much content.
I cannot keep up with producing that much content. I can't keep up. Like, it's just beyond me. And you see, but then also sometimes it's like a scam because they have like a whole team producing, and then like, it's crazy.
Like, the whole thing is like, you're taking in all this stuff, but you're not taking in the full information. Again, we're kind of this age that we're in right now, this whole technical information age, is so much information that I think a lot of that information causes a lot of pressure for our mentality. I don't think we were normally made to take in so much information like that at once. It's kind of like, so we're desensitized to even human to human now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like having a relationship with an actual friend that you would go and see, you know, every day.
Man.
It's like, there's so many different people, there's so many relationships, there's so many different things. So that type of nature that we're in now, and then you want to be a regular, you know, you're still a human though.
Yeah.
You still
Yeah.
need rest. You still need
And
a
we're
lot of us.
sensitive.
Yeah,
We're sensitive on top of that.
yeah, like we're actual humans that, we want to be accepted. We want to break relationship or friends or people that we can see and build with or whatever. And I think there's this reality of 24 hours in a day, and then there's social media, which is like just madness, So
absolutely.
I think I wanted to say that, and I think Meg, you brought this up, and probably Brandon too, Brandonian brought this up too, just about like we got to come back to who we are, the why. Let's cut, like me and Brandon, we used to draw comics without social media, without any, it was just us two.
Yeah.
Like it's the only follower I had was Brandon, and like we would just see each other's work. That was it. And he gave me a thumb up, one day I give him a thumb up.
Yeah.
I comment on his work. And like, what if it was just me and him? And that's what it used to be. And so I think at those kind of times, it's easier to think about your goals. It's or I don't want to say easier, but it's simpler to have a direction, to have community. I believe, I'm just saying this right now, okay to step away from social media. It's okay to dial it down. So remind yourself, hey, when I turn on IG, when I turn on Twitter, there's a lot of information I'm not getting. When I see this specific artist's work, I don't know, this guy could have been working on this 2 hours one day, 2 hours another day, 2 hours another day. It didn't just happen like this.
It's crazy to me as illustrators, obviously, and being classically trained and learning about all these different artists. I can't even imagine they worked on oil paintings for years for their patrons.
Exactly.
For years. Like Michelangelo, those were projects that they had teams, they had painters, they had someone that did the layout and the scaling. It wasn't just him. He was just one of the people that got all the credit. But the product now, it's insane. All the content, instant, right? It's like you can have new content every day. But it's like back in the day, these large scale projects were spanned out. And now it's just insane to see how consumable and how inundated. And it's just, I feel like it really overwhelms us and it confuses people. Like I feel
you become numb to it.
Yeah.
It's like you said, we're scrolling through IG and you see this person's art and it's like, oh my God, cool, like, flip, cool, like, flip. It's okay. I'm not going to like it, but it was cool, flip. And you're not taking into account, like, okay, for some people that say, oh, it only took me 3 hours or something like that. It's like, okay, that's cool. Some people work really fast, but for the most part, it's like, you don't know the years of practice or the hours of work somebody really put behind that. It's like, oh yeah, well, that's a dope drawing. Well, yeah, it took me like 5 hours to get the pose right. And then, another 8 or whatever to render it exactly how I wanted it for you to just, see it. Like,
and then go
about your business.
That's it. It's gone. It's definitely a different experience, and just in the classical arts, seeing it in person and capturing that person's attention. Like with you guys at the conventions when I first met you, I was like, oh, let me stop right quick. Like they're so dope, And then you guys ended up being super cool, and then we just stayed in contact. But I was like, I got to connect with you guys, but also I got to see your work and understand you guys as artists. That's a totally different experience than swiping, liking. I'm like, okay, bye. I don't need to follow you. Like I could like your work, but I don't need to follow you.
Yeah. Or if you do, and I mean on the artist end, whoever's posting it, you get a comment. Oh, dope stuff, dude. Really love your work. Thank you.
That's
or
it.
Thanks, bro. And it's like, go about your day. Like you said, the connection isn't there. Or you send them a DM like, yo, I really like your stuff. I'd like to talk to you more. Or and they have to stay disconnected because of course you run into trolls and you run into thieves. So it gets to the point where it's like, I can't really enjoy this the way that I wanted to or the way that I used to, because especially if you amass a pretty decent or large following, it's like, okay, cool. Like you kind of have to wall yourself off from the people that might want to connect with you, that genuinely might want to connect with you, because you just don't know, conspiracy theorist, whatever, who's out to get you or who's out to steal from you.
Yeah.
So it ends up becoming like this, like you said, a disconnect and more of like a losing situation where it's like, well, I did this to like put myself out there and connect with people, and I can only connect with so many people, or I can only stay connected with the people that were my ride or dies before I forgot before I became quote unquote, social media or Instagram famous or Twitter famous.
I think that it's just interesting. I often struggle with, okay, do they want to know me, Meg, as a person, or do they want to know me, Meg, as the artist that also has feelings? Because I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, that's some dope work. And then it's like they don't want to. I mean, maybe I'm the kind of artist that I want to connect with that person. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just so excited that someone liked it. Like, I'm just so excited that someone took the time to say, that looks cool. But also at the same time, I am one of those people where I'm like, well, what did you like about it? Like,
yeah,
I want to be your friend. Can we follow each other? Like that, this is exciting. I think that it's just interesting. But then I know there are a lot of creatives, obviously, that don't care about their fans or I hate to call them fans, but like they're appreciators or they're following. It's like they have this disconnect and they don't care. And I'm like, can't be me. That ain't me. I think that it's important to be able to connect with an audience. A lot of my following and a lot of my audience is most definitely in the nerd community, in particular with the anime and manga and comic books and gaming and everything. I feel like, but also at the same time, I never really had anybody or creatives or artists that looked like me. As far as, so I'm Filipino, right? Or Asians, Pacific Islanders, wherever they want to identify with, Asian, right? But I'm Asian American. All I had to connect in America, I'm first generation, by the way. My parents and grandparents are born in the Philippines, but all I had to connect with was what I saw on TV, which, what is it that I saw on TV? Bruce Lee and anime. That's the only Asian culture that they put on there. And then Bollywood films. But other than that, I never saw really a lot of people that looked like me. And then if it was stereotypical. And it's like, I'm not Chinese, I'm not Japanese, but I appreciate the work because they kind of are similar to my culture.
Right.
If that makes sense. But I never saw anything that looked like me. I never saw the executives look like me or the mainstream artists that were getting all of this notoriety. There could have been, who am I to say? There could have been some Filipinos on the team, but they weren't getting the spotlight. But it's insane to see now. I think now is the time where everyone is getting recognition and acknowledgement as they should have been in the first place. But I think that those things are important just to recognize that we're actually finally getting a voice as people of color, as people in the industry. People are now taking the nerddom seriously. It's cool to be a nerd now, whereas back in the day, people are getting beat up. It was lame, but now it's cool to be hipster and it's cool to be in all of those different scenes. I mean, how did you guys end up in the art scene? What was your guys' introduction? Mine, see, I'm from the Bay Area. So when I first moved to Long Beach, I was going to college, right? I had friends that were a lot older than me, but they brought me into Eagle Rock, Highland Park, all of those like really artsy scenes, Silver Lake, and I would do shows out there. So that was pretty much my introduction, but I can see how it could be discouraging to younger artists because they might not see how they could fit in the art world or in the art scenes or how they could fit in. I could see how it could be discouraging saying, oh, well, I want to gain exposure, but you don't look like a hipster from Silver Lake, or you don't look like the grunge artist in downtown LA.
For something that's supposed to be inclusive, yeah, we're still very much cliquish, and I don't understand.
Yeah, I just wanted to also highlight what were some of the significant life events and pivotal moments in your guys' lives and careers that made you want to pursue art as an artist. I know that we've been artists, ultimately, you guys were saying almost your whole lives, like in school and everything, but how did you guys pursue or decide or make the decision that you wanted to monetize your art? I think that that's the most important thing too, is how did you pivot it to in a business sense? Because for me, so I've always been an artist, but I was in the music industry, right? I'm not a musician, but I was in the music industry. Why am I in the music industry and entertainment if I'm not a musician? I don't know, because I was good at what I did. Or maybe it's because the universe had placed me there so that I was able to learn learn how different industries work. I'm a big fan in working in unrelated industries so that I have experience in all of those different facets. But that was the moment where I was like, okay, let me just go back to art and designing and illustrating, because I think that's one of the biggest things. I speak with a lot of my fellow creators and we talk about, okay, well, I wasn't happy with that career. I don't know why I even stopped, but something was telling me to go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what were those moments for you guys? I know that Brandonian, you were talking about how you were working at your job and you're like, well, I don't want to hate it and what you were doing.
Mm-hmm. For me, how did I decide or make that decision? I feel like I'm still making that decision because I'm not the best entrepreneur, and I also am starting to also pay attention to how Rok-mo does his thing and seeing what kind of path I can take from that in order to make things work. But for me, it was always just I figured I'd for a while go the commission route, but I quickly realized I don't really care so much about making fan art for people for money, even though it can be lucrative, and it can be if you get, again, if you're popular enough. But still learning in that I have commissions, and for me, it's just about acknowledging my worth in that I always used to charge well below what I actually felt I was worth because I felt like I didn't have the clout or the experience or the following or, notoriety or whatever to say, yeah, I'm actually worth this much. If you want this from me, this is how much you're going to pay. And it's just gotten to the point recently where I'm like, well, 12 people might know who I am, but I'm still worth this significant amount of money in regards to, putting out work because you know what? I've been at this my entire life and I have a pretty decent skill level. So no, I'm going to charge, what I'm worth, and I'm going to try my best to make, a business out of that. Now, that being said, it's still a learning curve for me. But, that's one way I can think of off the top of my head right now.
Thank you for that. That was perfect.
Actually, I feel like what Brandonian said is feel like it's the same thing for everyone, where it's a constant journey of getting closer and getting close. How do I say it? Because actually, I don't know. I started to think about people that I look up to that are, creating films or doing whatever. Well, let me take it back to why did I get started? Since I was a kid, I loved seeing stories. I think just in general, I loved stories. And I was like, hey, when I realized like in third grade, I can create my own story. And I drew a picture. I was just thinking about this at work. I drew a picture next to this story that I wrote, and it like clicked in me like, wait, like I myself can do this. Like I would play video games that had this or read these comics, but I realized like, wait, I can do this. Like, and that like was like the
that was a
motivation.
catalyst right there.
Yeah, it was the catalyst. And so with different films, I was just talking to Brandon about this, different films that I've always been inspired by and different animations. They just added to me wanting to make a living doing this or wanting to do it every day or whatever. And again, I'm still on that journey to do it. But the whole thing is like, I believe, especially for all of us as artists, is to accept us as professionals or being that film. Like to me, like inside of me, I am like one of the best filmmakers. I am one of the best comic artists. Like I am inside me. When it comes to outside, when it comes to the problem is now having to try to prove that to the people, or that's where all the confusion comes in. How do I make them know that I'm that good? How do I make people realize that what I see already in myself, And I think that's the struggle that us as artists are journeying, as we're trying to become this dream that we have. And then we have this reality of like where we're at with it and stuff like that. So I feel like I just did a whole bunch of
it was perfect. It was
I told you he had more insight into this.
The whole thing is like, because I want artists, I want people to know that they like this. What comes to me,
like, right now. Speak to the people.
To the people, sometimes there's a voice that sometimes tells you like you are wrong. You're like that dream, that idea, that who you are.
That's that self-talk.
And you got to tell yourself, keep building and talking to yourself saying, I'm not wrong. I'm going to keep going. I'm not wrong. And it's that journey of kind of like proving that wrong voice that you are successful. And so it's like being successful
right now. You preaching
to you. You want to be successful first to you. Like,
yes, definitely.
And so when it comes to the talking about mental health, that's why I'm saying draw back from all that
that stuff. Get away from all these things that is putting stuff in your head and saying you're not good and all this and people and all this kind of stuff. And it's okay to just get away in a nice silent place. Me, B knows I have faith in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. I get in that place with God where God is all for me. You know what I'm saying? He's for me, created me. So but the thing is, me, I need to become for me too. That's where a lot of battle is where I think I'm for me, but I'm not for me. So it's all about continuing to be for me, because you're gonna die anyway. Whether you die becoming this millionaire or alone, you gotta be happy with your life. So if you want to start learning how to enjoy the things you draw, what's so cool of us as artists is that, and even making films or TV, whatever, animation, is that you get this sheet of paper where it's just you on the paper, and enjoy that intimacy with you and your dream and that paper without anybody. Sometimes I work on stuff Brandon doesn't know what I'm working on. Nobody knows what I'm working on. It's just me and that story at that moment. Cherish those times, because that's life for you. That's energy. Cherish. Don't think about the people yet. Who's going to bash it? Who's going to steal it? No, enjoy the creativity right in front of you, because if you want to keep doing it in life, like, why become 30 and hate your job? Brandon was talking about it. Why become 40 and hate that you're working in the industry and making cartoons or animation, or, you know, you have this team, like, you're going to want this dream and then hate it? No, start to find ways to love what you're doing and let that create your style. Oh, I like how I draw like this. Ooh, these friends, these people, this community, they enjoy me and I enjoy them. Let it, but it's going to come from the inside of the best of you that starts creating where you're going to end up, you know? But you hold that. Don't give it to people. You hold your heart. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You know, you make sure that you're happy. And this is all stuff that I'm learning, because I had to like really flip how I've been living. Me, I was always trying to please people and be accepted by people, and just seeing year after year of that, and me just being drained. Brandon knows my story. He knows what's going on, and had to make really tough, hard, painful decisions to say, okay, I'm walking away from hanging out with these people. I love them, but I got to walk away from right now. I'm walking away from, you know, spending so much time on IG or whatever it is. And you have to, you know, make these tough decisions to get to loving who you are. And then you start creating the things that you love. And when you're doing stuff that you love, you want to get better at it. It's just like a play. Why would you play a freaking video game that you don't like? You know what I'm saying? Why grind and get all
crazy.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't even like it. So it's like, bro, like, if I'm gonna play this game, like I want to enjoy grinding. I want to enjoy getting experience points. I like seeing when my character levels up. Learn, okay, what in my life is like not enjoyable when I'm drawing? This isn't fun. And see, okay, how can I make it fun? Okay, I know I got to train, but let me just be free and draw whatever I want right now. You know, I want to draw Sasuke right now. Let me just, I can do that. I can draw anything I want. You know what I'm saying? Like, give yourself space to love yourself. And if it's really hard for you, because a lot of times it's hard for me, work on it. It sounds weird. I know, like Brandon, you know, like I've been 100%. Lagging in playing video games, and I love video games.
Here.
So it's so much. So now I was like, okay, I'm going to try every day and play like at least one game. I still haven't been able to do that, but it's allowed me to start enjoying who I am more without anybody, without somebody saying, oh, you loser, oh, you're working stuff, or even my own self to me, because it's like your own mind is your own enemy. So
it's like you really try to play yourself.
Right.
It's always a pleasant surprise when I go on PSN to like fire up Hulu or Netflix, because I'm not at the point where I feel like playing video games comfortably, and I see that he's like playing Death Stranding, and I'm like, you get that on. Yeah, player, you enjoy your life.
We trying up in here, man. I swear we trying.
No, for real.
That is helping me to enjoy life more. Finding those things that
these are nuggets. Like, this is like, these are facts. Like, this is really what we need. Like, everything that you're saying, you're hitting every point, because it really is true. You are the one that's in charge of your destiny. You're the one that's in charge of how you want to live your life. You create your own life, but it also comes down to setting boundaries with yourself and setting boundaries with other people. If you're unhappy, fix it for yourself, because you want to live a better life. But also at the same time, you're the one that speaks life and death to yourself.
Right.
You're the one that controls that. You're the one who also controls what you receive.
Yeah.
Right? If someone's talking trash trash or like someone's being very negative, that is up to you to receive that negativity, to be able to absorb. See, I'm one of those people where if I hear negativity, I'll leave the thing is, right, you're the one that controls if you're going to absorb that into your speech, into your spirit. I'm also a believer in Jesus Christ, and it is true that, you know, if you hang out with people that are negative or are very judgmental or overly critical, you will start to become that, because that is what you will become. But once you know, if you feel something in your spirit and it's like, nah, man, people call it intuition, but it, you know, believers, we call it Holy Spirit telling you, like, no, there's something wrong. Like, there's something wrong. Those people are not for you. Those people can influence. People talk about it, the spheres of influence, right? Those things are so real. Those things will really affect your productivity. They will affect your productivity, but they'll also affect your spirit. I feel like as artists, we need to protect our spirit, because it can definitely translate into your work. I definitely felt whenever I hung around people that I shouldn't have, my productivity was mad low. Maybe I gained clout and points into the scenes of LA or the art scenes, but I wasn't creating. I was just around creatives. But then were we even like, was that even meant to be? And then also at the same time, it's like, I know when things were forced. It was very evident in your art journey. You will also come across, for the people that are listening that haven't experienced this yet, you will also see that you need to step away the people that are messing with your productivity. That is very crucial. A lot of people don't talk about that. They talk about maybe people that try to steal your work and everything, but they don't talk about messing up your productivity and messing up your mental space. Let's say there's people that hang out with a lot of people that do drugs, but it's like you're spending so much time doing drugs and tripping that you're not creating. But you're not allowing yourself to have the headspace where, okay, whatever, you can have your own inspirations, but it's like, why are you putting yourself in situations where you're not comfortable? I just feel like you need to be able to be in a space that you're comfortable and do what's right for you. I feel like a lot of times, because it's so competitive out there, that they see other artists and they're like, oh, well, I want to get to what that person's doing. So they're hanging out with these people and they're hanging out at these spots. But that doesn't mean that it's true to your journey. To your specific journey, and everyone's different. What you see and what you consume also directly affects your productivity too.
Very, very much so. I wanted to say this too, like, you could have like good friends too. They're good, but not that, or not good for this season. And it's
or
okay.
They might not want those things for you. They may be hating.
If you find an imbalance where you're either pouring into people, but they're not pouring back into you. So again, that I was seeing a lot of that going on, and I love to give. That's the thing. I was like, oh, like I love to give.
Same here.
But I had to realize that I had to look at the reality of the result. And it's just like if I was running a business and I'm trying to sell this product and it's not selling, I had to be like, okay, like if I keep doing this, there will be no business. So if I keep doing myself like this, there will be no Reggie. Now for no one.
Give everything and left with nothing.
You know, so, you know, it's like, again, look at the realities of the people that you're hanging out with, at the things that you're drawing or whatever. Say, am I growing? Is this really helping? Am I receiving the things I need to grow? Am I giving in the right areas, you know, where it's a good transaction or whatever? Self-awareness, you know, I love self-awareness. We all do. And it's a scary thing because it's like, oh, I get to look, I got to see all my weaknesses and oh, great. Like, I'm not as cool as I thought I was, you know, and I'm seeing that so much more now. And I'm like, dang, like I really sucked at a lot of different things, but there is power in that. There's power when you realize that you're not perfect and that it's okay and that you can grow and you can get better. It's better to see the truth and grow into it than keep having the lies around and trying to carry lies as you're trying to go. It's your equations are off.
Well, I think part of that is also in regards to growing. You're supposed to have it figured out by this certain age, or if you don't, you failed at life. And here's the thing: you're never really done learning. You're never really done growing. So don't, lie to yourself. I don't care if you're 25 or 45 or hell, even 65. You can still learn and you can still grow from your mistakes and be a better person. The real only time when it's too late is, again, when your dumbass is dead.
That's good.
No, it's true. People need to understand understand that the journey never ends.
Yeah.
And you could be mature, you could be what you were saying, just to reiterate, at any point, you could decide for yourself. You can make decisions that will be the catalyst or be the domino effect for somebody else's career too.
Mm-hmm.
You can help somebody else and say, because you took that step, you inspired me to want to pursue my own passion, or you inspired me to want to open up my own business or start as a freelance artist. I think that those things are very important to just recognize that even though you don't feel that sense of responsibility, I guess, you're not responsible for other people's lives, it does make being an artist and a creative worth it when you get that kind of feedback and when you get those responses of saying, you made me want to work on my poses or my posture or my illustrations or color.
Right.
I think that those things are worth it. And just even in the sense of, oh, this podcast made me realize a lot of things and made me want to make life changes. It's a culmination of a lot of things, but I think that those things are important. Just in closing, I already know what kind of artist that I want to be, and this is with the Nomi Chronicles movement. I shared it with you guys and I've spoken about it. I'm very outspoken on making sure that people have a platform or someone to look to, or it doesn't even have to necessarily be me, but just realizing that you don't have to fit in to a specific niche. You can be yourself and just being true to the artist that you are, because I'm sure when Hayao Miyazaki, obviously I'm a huge fan, no one was doing what he was doing at the time that he was doing it. So keep doing what you're doing, because you don't know. You really don't know. You may be the catalyst or the founder of a new movement.
Right.
So don't feel discouraged, or when you do feel discouraged, what Brandonian and yourself were saying, reach out to people. Because those words of encouragement, like I said, you're the one that's in charge of receiving and speaking life and death into yourself. If you speak negativity, you are following the path of, I don't even know why I'm doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this. And then it's like at that point of no return where you're like, okay, well, I'm not even passionate about this anymore. Figure out your why and constantly check in with yourself. Not even just others, but check in with yourself, where I'm like, okay, do I want to create today? The thing is, you don't need to. What is telling you, I need to do this? I need to do that. Okay, you can set goals for yourself. That's one thing, but it's like you're finding that a need to do something overshadows your love of wanting to do it. You suck out the positive reinforcement and positive association with, oh, I don't want to do it because I'm trash. I don't want to start pursuing that project. What you were saying, you have to coach yourself into thinking and program yourself into thinking positive things towards a project. Because if you don't think positively towards a project, it will show in the work.
Right.
It will show in the work and you're just not going to want to do it. And it's like what I was saying about the podcast and a lot of my other projects, I was procrastinating because I didn't have a positive connotation to it, right? I was thinking like, wow, but then I gotta find an editor, then I gotta set up meetings, then I gotta do recordings, like it's a whole process. But then it's like, if I connect it with, oh, this can help people, then I'm like, oh, this is gonna be fun, this is really exciting. Like when we were talking earlier, it's like, okay, well, that makes me want to publish the project, or this makes me want to complete the project because I know that people will benefit from this in a positive manner. But that's also up to you. That's your choice to figure out if I want to. But it's a daily struggle, guys. Daily struggle that people do not often talk about creating in general. I feel like also as an artist and as you go on in your career and your daily life and through your life cycles and stages, you kind of also need to reprogram yourself into reigniting the passion. It really is like you're really in a relationship. It's not even work. It's not your relationship with your work, but it's a relationship with your passion.
Interesting.
What do you guys have to say? Because I just want to be the artist that helps other artists. That's always been my goal. This is one of the main purpose for this podcast. And also, I don't think that there's enough help that's offered. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing this. But as far as in closing, what about you guys? Like, what kind of artist do you want to be? what kind of artists do you see yourself fostering or mentoring in the future?
This is really good because especially this year, like I told you guys, I started teaching and I find myself enjoying that like way too much. Like it's so much energy, it's so much like goodness. I like to encourage. I feel like I'm not even like really a teacher. I just am in front of people encouraging.
You're a hype man, man. You're a hype man.
I feel like there's no loss in that, like, and wanting to help and everything like that. The only thing now is just me wanting to get better at delivering knowledge or understanding things so that I can better communicate that to whoever's listening. I think it is now like the top passion of where I want to go, and it's teaching. Now, I do want to create stories and movies and everything like that. And when I thought about it too, like even when I do those things, stories are like teaching elements. They're like the first teaching elements ever, stories since back in the day. So I'm now starting to see myself as more wanting to teach and encourage people. And I'm praying that all just bleeds through like everything that I do. So I want to be in front of more people, helping teach them how to tell stories and bring the best of them out. That's really, I'm trying to extract the best of them out. It may not be what I think is best, or at least what it appears I think is best or whatever, but it's basically getting the best out of them that I start to see or that comes up and saying, oh, you really good at this or whatever. Really encourage people on what they are and trying to drag that out and put them back on them. And I've just been really enjoying wanting to help people, to bless people in any kind of way that I can, so.
Well, you've definitely blessed this podcast because you guys have both been dropping nuggets. The conversations that we had throughout the entire episode have been very insightful. And overall, I feel like that one of the main lessons we've learned from just sharing all of our experiences and testimonials is that you have to make it fulfilling for yourself, but whatever makes sense to you. It can't be somebody compared to somebody else's journey because it's not going to be the same. We want different things, and we may be at different stages of artistry. And just to expand upon, what about you, Brandonian?
I don't think I could expound upon that as eloquently as Rok-mo did, but since he laid the gauntlet down, I guess I have to get real about it. But going back to what he said earlier, I've always enjoyed storytelling, like beyond the art and beyond drawing or whatever. I've always just really enjoyed a good story, and I enjoyed those fantastic stories, the stories where, let's just be real, the protagonist in each and every one was Caucasian. They were always white, and they were always doing these amazing, bold things. Like if you're a knight or you're out in outer space or something like that. And, if there was a black person in that story, miraculously, they were always comic relief or a true bit player. And I just want to be able to be the kind of artist who tells a story where some black kid who probably feels marginalized and underappreciated, maybe bullied or anything else, they can see that and they can relate to that, and they can look at that character and say, I can do that. I can be that. Now, of course, me may not be able to be a space knight or whatever, but it gives them the confidence to realize that they can be whatever the hell they want to be.
So,
yeah.
And I've always thought about that. If I had seen that, this world is mine. You can't tell me nothing. And you come upon that kind of attitude nowadays in different ways rather than just the things you saw. But that would be the kind of artist that I'd want to be. And teaching down the line, I don't think I told anybody, but I mentored somebody for the first time early this week. And it was...
You told me.
Oh, I did tell you. Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, but it was different. It was this really a truly rewarding feeling. Like, it was a feeling I didn't think I was ready for, because I'll be honest, I'm a very selfish man. I just want to see my dreams realized before I go out and help all the little chillins of the world. Till I get to the little chillins, I want to take care of myself. A very selfish individual. I want to see my dreams realized. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Facts.
But those children got time. They still young. I'm old now. I got that much time left on this planet. I want to see my dreams. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And it made me realize, like, especially because the other person, I hate this word. I wish I could think of another word, but another minority, just like me. And if I can give them the kind of confidence or the kind of support where they say, okay, well, I may not be, the top artists on the planet, but I can go out there and branch out and, you know, an employer or a client will appreciate my work. That's absolutely worth it to me. That's absolutely rewarding. And I really enjoyed that, especially when it revolves around storyboarding, which is something that I'm still trying to break into. I felt like I had nothing to offer in regards to like storyboarding advice or anything like that. But the conversation that we had and the help that they were looking for, it really ended up helping them. And that brightened my day. That damn near brought a tear to my eye, if I'm being honest, because it made me realize that I can be not just an effective artist, but an effective person. I can affect a positive change in somebody else. And that is groundbreaking. That is world shattering when you think about it. So in summary, the kind of artist I want to be, I want to tell stories that empower, yes, Black children, but any kind of person of color who never really got to see themselves or identify with themselves in cartoons or even live action. And they can go out and say later on in life, I can do that. I can do that. I want to do that, and no one's going to stop me.
No, for sure.
There we go.
And that was the mic drop right there. That was a mic drop moment right there.
That
I'm
was a
going to put
camera
that
drop.
in. I know we've been planning this out for a really long time, and I'm just so grateful that you guys were able to make time to hang out with me and just have these conversations. I think that they're very relevant and just spread awareness, man. Thank you so much, guys. And yes, you can follow us at Nomi Chronicles. You can follow the show. I'm Meg Dre. Thank you for listening, Nomi Tribe. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube at Nomi Chronicles. You can follow Rok-mo. Tell the people where, Rok-mo.
You can follow me.
No.
Search all your socials, all right? All of them. ROKMO_EX or just ROKMO. I'm pretty sure you see some artwork, that's going to be me, all right?
That's him. What about you, Mr. Brandonian?
Before I get started, I don't need any of your pity follows. Don't follow me. You can go on about your merry day. Don't worry about me. Don't pay attention to this stuff in the background with all my socials. You can find me and my art and my daily musings about life and my sardonic humor and dry wit. Don't follow none of that. But that being said, as you can see in the background, if you're watching this video, you can find me on Instagram at Brandonian_Syndrome. Want to holler at me on Twitter, where I talk about absolutely nothing and just post random art. You can catch me at Brandonian_Syn. That is Brandonian_SYN. I host my own podcast called the Brandonian Podcast. That name is tentative. However, if you want to see the first video where I just talk into a camera about the boring trappings of my daily life, that would be YouTube. That should be Brandonian_Syndrome as well, but just look up Brandonian Syndrome under YouTube. And I have my own projects coming up. If you want to catch me again on my Instagram, I do release a comic every week, or a page of a comic every week, entitled The Prisoner. It's just something that I wanted to be creative with, and I hope that when you come across it, you enjoy it.
Perfect. And Rok-mo, where can we find your podcast?
Called Rock With You podcast. So Rock With You, guys search Spotify, your Apple Podcast. You'll find it on there. So ROK, rock, and then with you, like I'm rocking with you. Get it? Rock with you. So yeah, search that out. You guys can check it out. Got a couple episodes up and having a lot of fun with it. Really cool artists and all kind of people that are on it. I think you guys will enjoy it. So
perfect. And once again, this is Meg Dre with Nomi Chronicles. Thank you so much for listening. I'm excited for you all to see both of these amazing artists. The links will be in the description and all the information that you deserve. Thank you. Bye.